All right, we've got Alex Hale with us today for an exclusive interview with Last Week Teen Pact. Alex, how are you doing today?
I'm doing really well, Seth. I'm excited to be here.
Awesome. Well, we're very excited to have you. I want to jump straight into a couple of questions that I think the Teen Pact Nation would love to know the answer to. There's some theory or speculation as to what you're doing in your personal life over the next year with college and whatnot. How do you plan on balancing your college education and the responsibilities that we know are important in your personal life with what the Teen Pact people elected you to do in your office?
Yeah, so that's a great question. I will be attending Baylor University this fall. I'll be going in as a business fellow, which basically means I'll be studying a lot of different things. I will be double majoring in finance, philosophy, and I will be minoring in political science. So I understand the Teen Pact Nation's concern. I'm going off to college. I will not be on site as on as many classes as I would like to be, but I think the Teen Pact Nation needs to keep in mind when Zach and I launched our campaign, we really utilized the power of social media, and we believed in the power of the internet to change lives, to change the world, and to connect lives, and to connect the Teen Pact Nation better. Like our campaign videos, Zach and I especially hope to continue my rapport over social media and the internet, as I will be in Waco for most of my time this upcoming 2017-2018 season.
Gotcha. So what things have you been doing and what things will you do over the next year with your college education in mind to do what the people set out to elect you to do? What are some initiatives that you want to start? What are some things that you may do?
Yeah, so Zach and I have already been working a lot behind the scenes. We have been talking with Mr. Martin multiple times. We've been interacting with the Teen Pact office, but we've also been really working closely with our Teen Pact elected officials, our representatives and senators that were elected this past NC. We really wanted to give them an expanded role and give them an expanded opportunity to influence and share their thoughts and and voice their concerns with the Teen Pact Nation throughout the season. So one thing that I can tell you, which will be rolling out this fall, is we will be initiating a new blog post series run directly through Teen Pact that focuses specifically on what the elected officials want to say to their constituents. So we're really excited about that because this has never been done before. We're really opening up a new channel via social media for your representatives and your senators who have direct access and the direct opportunity to speak to you. So that's just one thing that we have coming up for this next season that Zach and I are really excited about.
So what message are you going to continue throughout the season? Jeremiah Fitzpatrick at the end of the season and Caleb Fitzpatrick, the former president, talked a lot about how you campaign during the season with a certain message, but that message only gets bigger after you've been elected. So how do you plan to continue your message from this point forward?
Yeah, so that's a great question. Children of the Light by nature was a call to action. I think that's one thing that really resonated with our voters and our supporters was, yes, it's a concept we all must understand. We have been called to a childlike faith by humbly depending on God, and that faith sets us apart. But unless we understand that concept and unless we have that dependency in Christ, we will never live actively in a different way than we were as sinners. So we're really excited about that continuing to pervade the hearts and minds of the Teen Pact Nation, but we really want you to go further with it. We really want you, like I said at my inaugural speech, we want you to delight in that dependency, because now that you realize what it means to be a child of God and to be a child of the light, now you have the opportunity to really align your will with God and to change the world with that new outlook. So that's what we're really excited for going into the new season. The stage has been set. It's time for the show.
All right, Alex. So we've talked a little bit about what you're going to do to represent the Teen Pact Nation and the initiatives that you have moving forward and the sort of vision you have for the rest of the year. But all of this sort of beats around the bush at a very hard issue that many in Teen Pact have begun to discuss. It's the idea of, or the theory of what the Teen Pact president should do? Who is the Team Pact president? And what are the Team Pact president's true responsibilities? There's one camp that sort of refers to the Team Pact president in a funny way as the pastor-in-chief, the head of the Team Pact ministry, the elected ministry head. There's another camp that talks about the Team Pact president more in a student body president light, as somebody who is called to represent the Team Pact people to the Team Pact administration and to the rest of Team Pact in a very political leader way. Where do you particularly stand on this issue, and how does this affect your approach to the job?
Love this question. So Seth, actually, I don't believe we are in either camp. I believe by the nature of Team Pact, a great Team Pact president shouldn't be on either side. Great things and great men are multifaceted and multidimensional. And just like Team Pact isn't just a ministry or just a political organization that no 13-year-old would want to go to, that is what the Hale McCue administration strives to be like, just like the way Team Pact is built. So Team Pact is built on the perspective that, it is built on a foundation on the rock of Christ, but its calling is to teach politics and to raise up young leaders as they have been inspired. We have been called by God to be excellent. And so what Zach and I want to do through our administration is we want to be built on Christ. We want to be built on the foundation that God provides and the strength he provides. But we want to go out into the world and we want to lead and represent and serve the Team Pact nation well. So, yes, we are ministry heads, but we are also huge role players in the student body of Team Pact. We are in a big way the face of Team Pact. We are built on ministry, but we are called to address, improve, serve, and represent the Team Pact nation well. I like to introduce myself as the national and student body president of Team Pact, and I don't think that just gives political connotations, because if you know Team Pact, if you understand the way Team Pact was designed and the mission Team Pact has, then you would understand that it's a multifaceted organization that takes divinely inspired power and God-given power and applies it to worldly excellence.
Right, exactly. So with this thought process in mind, now that the audience understands your view to this issue, how will you use your approach to this issue, and how does your approach to this issue affect how you do your job as president of Team Pact, specifically?
Yeah, that's really good. So, like I already said, ministry is a big part of Team Pact, obviously. It's built on Christ, but it's a big part of our administration. I think you could see that through our campaign that we ran. We really focus on changing lives to change the world through the power of Christ and through the influence of godly excellence. But now that we are in the role that we are in, we are more than just ministers. We're political leaders within the Team Pact nation. And because of that, I want to continue to build upon the great legacy that past Team Pact presidents have had. And I really believe the ways to do this isn't just sharing our campaign message, which was essential to the campaign, but also improving and using the platform that I've now been given as president of Team Pact Leadership Schools. So Zach and I have really been working hard in terms of logistical standpoints behind the scenes in this office to really improve Team Pact, not just as a ministry, but to improve it as a program.
So Alex, you've talked a lot about what you're doing as Team Pact president, and I'd like to address a question about your predecessor, Jeremiah Fitzpatrick. Jeremiah Fitzpatrick is considered by many to be one of the great Team Pact presidents. How do you plan on securing his legacy in addition to your own during your time as Team Pact president?
I would totally agree. I think President Fitzpatrick was an incredible president, but I also believe in blazing your own path and setting your administration apart, and not just simply building upon the previous administration. I agree that President Fitzpatrick did a wonderful job in spreading and encouraging people to follow the submit to his supremacy message, but also just representing the Team Pact nation and being a great face for the Team Pact nation. Kind of like I said, I want to go a different direction. I obviously already am by going to college this fall. but I believe that we have already taken great steps within this administration to set ourselves apart, starting with our campaign and our campaign videos. The video series and the strategy behind that was to really build a movement and to build a grassroots movement that was so much more than Zach and I. Yes, I still believe in being the leader and I would love to be the shepherd of that movement, and I believe in a way I am as president of Teen Pact Leadership Schools. But I really wanted to establish more rapport and transparency with the rest of the Teen Pact Nation, and in a way try to let the people realize that I am their man. I am not just a distant face off at college who won an election at NC in May. I am their president, and I'm here for them, and I'm really working hard for them. I would love to be seen differently than a past president, because when compared to the past greats, I think comparison contaminates, as Brent Vassbinder, when running for representative in 2015, said. I really believe in blazing my own path, and I think I already have begun to do that.
Thank you, Alex. We have Vice President Zachary McCue with us right now, in addition to President Alex Hale. How are you, Zach?
I'm doing fantastic. Thanks for having me on. This is definitely an awesome opportunity. I'm so glad to be here.
Awesome. We're so happy to have you. So while we have both of you here, there are some other questions we'd like to get you, but while we have both of you here, we'd like to address a bit of controversy with you. There is some rumor or goings-on within the Teen Pact Nation that, to put it bluntly, Alex is a figurehead and Zach is the mastermind. The election was won largely because of Zach. This is not a comfortable topic to address, but I figure we address it head on. So, Zach, what do you have to say about that rumor?
Yeah, I'd say that there's no base to it. Rumors like that are started on, just false suspicions and things like that that really make no sense and really have no base. I think anyone who's met Alex knows that he's far beyond a figurehead, and this campaign is definitely led by him as the president. This administration is still led by him, and it will continue to be led by him. And it's just been an incredible honor to serve behind his leadership and follow his example that he's been setting. And so any claims that Alex may be a figurehead or anything like that really have no base and really just baffle me, because I don't see how anyone who has met Alex or who has heard Alex speak could even think that. And so I don't want to throw any shade at anyone, but if you are of that belief that Alex is a figurehead, then go have a conversation with Alex, because that will clear that up in an instant.
Alex, do you have anything to add on that?
Yeah, so, wow, this is a weighty claim, but I really believe that it has no substance. Starting with just the whole idea behind the campaign, the synergy between Zach and I was incredible. I really, in my mind, the campaign, and I think to most people, it was almost a 1 + 1 = 3 campaign, where there really was something about our partnership and our brotherhood that went just beyond the two individuals. And, myself on my own could not have done as well with this campaign. Zach on his own or with someone else, I don't think the campaign would have gone as well. I think my vision plus Zach's implementation and both our combined faith and focus on Christ really turned this campaign into something that really, blew the doors off our expectations. I think it's disappointing to not only simplify Zach into just a mind, but to simplify me into a figurehead. And I think for most people who really focused on the campaign and have interacted with Zach and I think they would understand that we're both much more than those things.
I want to go to Zach for a minute. Zach, you and I go way back. We've known each other for quite a long time. What's it been like to go from where you were in Teen Pact as a starting out student to vice president of the Teen Pact Nation?
Yeah, that's definitely extremely baffling. There's not too many words that can really capture the journey in the right light, except to say that this has been something that God has been behind, and I firmly believe that the journey that He's taken me on throughout Teen Pact and throughout my time in Teen Pact has just been absolutely phenomenal. And I know that I would not be in the office that I am today, I would not be in the position that I am today apart from God and God's plan. So I don't know why things happen the way they do. I don't know why I am where I am, but I know that God's hand has been behind it, and it's been extremely neat just to see His hand behind it and to see the growth that He's provided over these past few years. And so this is an incredible opportunity that He's given me, and I'm not still entirely sure why, but I know that I'm extremely grateful, and that this entire road has been just absolutely incredible. There's not too many organizations that can take an individual from being scared to go to the governmental camp and scared to speak publicly to being a vice president of the organization. There's not too many places that happens, and that doesn't happen apart from the grace of God and apart from the growth that He provides and the maturity that He provides. And so my time in Teen Pact has been absolutely incredible, and I'm really looking forward to what is in store next and what He has next. But I've loved the journey thus far, and the people that He's brought into my life through Teen Pact has been absolutely incredible. Like you said, we go way back, and if it weren't for friends like you, weren't for friends like Alex, weren't for friends like Brent Vuderpaw and Brent Bassbinder, and just so many different incredible people, then I definitely think the journey would have been way different. And I'd even wager to say that I wouldn't be where I am today if God had not orchestrated it so perfectly to put such incredible relationships in my life through Teen Pact. And it's just been an incredible journey, like I said, and so I'm looking forward to what's next.
Well, Zach, I want to ask you a question about your role in the administration. How do you see yourself as the vice president helping Alex and helping this campaign roll out its vision over the next year?
Yeah, for sure. So naturally, as the vice president, my role is very much so a supportive one in supporting what Alex has to do, in supporting his roles. And so naturally there's the supportive side, but then I think also because of the dynamic of this administration and the dynamic of where God is calling me and Alex individually in this next year, the role that I think I'll be serving throughout this year will be the more in-person representative of the administration as we go throughout the Teen Pact season, and as Alex goes off to college. I think those roles will be divided as far as everything will still be coming from the top and still be coming from Alex, and I'll still be playing that supportive role, but I'll also be playing the role of the in-person representative. And so I'm really looking forward to that, and really looking forward to that dynamic and seeing how that plays out. Because it's not a usual dynamic, but I think it's one that is going to be incredible. Just as our whole campaign has been non-conventional and has been completely different than a lot of the things that have happened in the past, and so this dynamic is just going to be another thing that's new, and that's going to be interesting to see how it plays out.
Fantastic. I want to ask you both a particular question. Speaking of the unconventional campaign that you ran, we'll start with you, Zach. What do you think the voters saw in your campaign? You guys won a very astounding victory, but it was a very unlikely victory. What was it about the way you ran your campaign and the message you guys brought to the table that attracted such a wide variety of voters?
From the very beginning of the campaign, we hopped in the race not because we wanted to run. As a matter of fact, I had a different position in the other campaign, and I didn't want to run at that point. And so we hopped in the race solely focused on Christ and on this message and on spreading the movement of children of the light and on telling people what it truly means to be a child of the light, what it truly means to depend on God with all that we are and all that we do. And so I think the voters saw the heart behind the campaign, and the campaign connected with them. They saw it not as just another campaign, but they saw it as the movement, and rightly so. And they embraced the movement, and they made the movement their own. And that's just been fantastic to see and to watch as people all over the country have embraced the message of Children of the Light and have continued to spread it. And I think that's what happened, and I think that's what is continuing to happen even after the campaign and after NC and all that good stuff, is the people have embraced this message, this movement, and they've gone and they've shared it with friends, and they've gone and they've talked about it, and they've told other people what it means to be a child of the light, and they told other people what that's meant in their lives personally and how that's impacted them, and that's made a gigantic difference. And then the lives of people in Team Pact and not in Team Pact as well. And so I think what set the campaign apart was the fact that this was a movement. This was never about two guys running for office. This was about spreading a message and sharing this movement. And so I think that's what really set it apart. And so, yeah, that's basically the only explanation I have for it, because there's really no reason two guys from Texas should enter a race with a month left to go and come away with a victory like that, except to say that this has been a movement that God has orchestrated and that he was ready to see play out.
Alex?
Yeah, so like Zach said, the beautiful thing and unbelievable thing about this campaign was how there's no possible way Zach and I could have done it on our own. Without the grassroots support and the dedication and passion of these people who, felt the call to be children of the light, none of this would have happened. And especially without God, none of this would have ever happened. I would just say that I was blown away by our unbelievable grassroots support, because launching 50 days before NC, naturally the people that wanted to join our campaign and wanted to join our team really believed in our message and really believed in what we were doing, and took that to heart, and they made it their own message. And their passion and devotion and commitment to this idea that we are children of the light was really infectious, and it really just spread and circulated throughout the Teen Pact Nation. And I would really say that Zach and I had this dream of this becoming a movement, and our grassroots support really made that dream a reality.
Fantastic. Zach, I have one more question for you before we let you go. We talked with Alex a little bit about the political or student body leader versus ministry head mentality, the two different philosophies that go into being a Teen Pact president. Where do you stand on this issue, and how will you walk this out?
Yeah, definitely. I think because of the nature of Teen Pact, both of those go very much so hand in hand. As a position, as an office, there are going to be administrative things that need to happen. There are going to be administrative things by the very nature of being an elected official. However, I also think that because of the nature of Teen Pact and because of the nature of National Convention and because of the nature of the events that Teen Pact puts on, the ministry side is definitely not to be underappreciated in any form or any way. I think that as we move forward, having that focus on Christ and that focus on spreading messages, not to win an election, not to do something for our own gain, but spreading messages and making movements happen for the purpose of glorifying God is what needs to happen moving forward in Teen Pact elections. I think that there has to be something to be said for the political side, but I also think that we can't let politics cloud the ministry. We can't let politics cloud the electoral process. And I know that there's definitely politics that are going to play out when you have an election just by the nature of it. But I think we definitely need to focus more on the ministry side and focus more on using the platform that has been provided to use that influence to glorify God and to continue to spread the messages that He's laid on our hearts. And so I definitely think that as we go forward, if we can return that focus to Christ and return that focus to running for Him and running for the platform to be able to share what we believe and to share what God has laid on our hearts, I think that a lot of good can come out of that. I definitely see arguments as well that say we should go in the political route and make it more political to train youth better to understand the political process as we go throughout it. And I think there's definitely there's definitely a place for that. But I see that more in the balance of Teen Pact as being the state level thing where politics is what plays out more for the state elected officials. But then for the nature of NC and for the nature of the elected officials there, people come to NC to see Christ. People come to NC to be moved. People come to NC to mature in their faith, to fellowship with one another. And so I think because of the nature of that, and because of the nature of the electoral process, we really do need to focus on the ministry side, and at the same time recognize that politics is there, but not let that overlay on the ministry side.
Fantastic. Well, thank you for joining us, Zach. It's been a pleasure to have you.
Yeah, thanks so much for having me. It's been awesome. I'll talk to y'all later.
Talk to you later. Thank you.
All right, bye.
All right, Alex. So I just have a couple more questions before we head out. First off, thank you so much for joining us today. It's been a pleasure to have you.
Absolutely.
I would finish this interview out by asking you a couple questions. I want to ask you about where you see God taking you in your personal life. What is God showing you right now? Where is God taking you in your personal life that affects how you view your position as president of Teen Pact?
Yeah, so I think God has really, obviously through the campaign, taken me down a crazy path in the past few months. I would say, as a 13-year-old first going to Teen Pact, I didn't even know what a bill was. And I remember going to my first national convention and thinking, oh, that's a really neat opportunity and platform to run for that. I don't think I ever will get that chance. I don't think that's what God has for me. But here we are. Really, I've just been trying to abide in Christ, like John 15 tells us to. I've really been trying to draw near to Him and to align my desires with His desires for me, because that just makes life easier when I'm not fighting Him and I'm walking with Him and letting Him guide my steps. So personally, especially as I go off to college, there are all sorts of opportunities and paths, whether that's a certain study route I could take or a certain lifestyle I could choose. There are all sorts of different ways I could go, and I'm really trying to trust in the Lord and to draw near to Him as I make this huge life change.
Absolutely. One last question. My last question has to do with, you've talked about how you believe that you won the election. You've talked about how you and Zach are going to walk out your vision moving forward. You've talked about how you're going to balance college with being Teen Pact president. You've talked about the ministry versus the political leader and how both of those go hand in hand. I just want to sum all of this up in one question that I think is incredibly important, and I know it's one that you answered a lot during the campaign season. Why do you believe God called you to run for Teen Pact president?
I think what God did was that He showed me an opportunity, and He laid something on my heart so heavy that I couldn't help but seize the opportunity He so evidently put before me. I can't necessarily why God called me to run or why God chose to give me this message, but all I can do with that, with the limited vision I have, is to represent him as best I can. Like I said before and during the campaign, throughout the campaign, Children of the Light was not a slogan, but was just a concept that has been brewing on my heart and mind for months and months before it ever formulated into a presidential campaign. But I think God has a weird way of choosing unexpected people to do unexpected things sometimes. But that's the best way, and that's his way. I don't know if I could tell you why he chose me and not anyone else, but I'm unbelievably humbled and blessed to pursue what God has placed before me and to pursue God's plan, even if it's something I never would have thought about doing before. He made it pretty clear that this is what he wanted me to do, and I think it was pretty clear to the rest of the Teen Pact Nation when we launched on April 1st that Zach and I were pretty certain about this being part of God's plan for us, because nobody launches a campaign 50 days before national convention unless it was something that God wants them to do.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for joining us today, Alex.
Yeah, thank you so much, Seth.
Awesome. It's been such a pleasure.
Mine as well. You have a great day.
You too.